Hello, I'm Matt Wyman, the owner and president of North Carolina Personal Computers, a franchise under the umbrella of National Personal Computers, or National PCs. Today we're going to be looking at some critical security information that should become household names to the techie and networking folks who support our infrastructure. Let's go back to a security incident that everybody can think of, 9/11. On 9/11, we lost two main towers. Planes crashed into them. 2 years later, and 1 month earlier, on August 11th in 2003, we had a blackout which wiped out half of the eastern seaboard's seacoast. New York, New Jersey, Virginia, even down to North Carolina, power was lost. What we were told was that there was a lightning strike up in Canada, and that lightning strike came down the channels and knocked all of us offline. But research in the IT world seems to indicate that's not the most likely circumstance. Here's why. We have surge protectors. Sure, lightning can burn a surge protector up, but don't we have surge protectors on our power grid? Would lightning really cascade that far? Don't we have some sort of built-in security to keep that from happening? Lightning strikes power poles all the time. So, that is the plausible reason for why we lost power. Now let's look at some of the actual events happening on August 11, 2003. We had the release of an internet worm virus called MSBlaster. MSBlaster used it's an internet worm, which is different than a virus. It travels through the internet instead of traveling on a media like a disk. So it was coming through port 139, a port which is not secured on most Windows systems up until that date. No one had firewalls that were protecting that. The Windows firewall was not protecting that port or doorway into the computer. There are laptops used to control our power grids. These laptops are called SCADA. They essentially allow a technician to remote into Windows 2003 servers, which were new at that time. Of course, Windows 2003 servers had just rolled out. Those Windows 2003 servers were what regulated the power grid's Unix massive machines. When the infection of MSBlaster got onto the laptops, it entered into the Windows 2003 servers, and you would see the little sign. Those of you who are familiar with that virus, it would say 59, 58, 57, 56, and it would count down and shut your system down. There was a period of 2 to 3 days before Microsoft had a solution to this virus. It was during that period of time that we lost our power. This was the first internet-driven worm. The computers, the havoc was just amazing. In California, there were computer people just having a real tough time. So I would say, and the IT world has supported the idea that MSBlaster was responsible for the loss of power on August 11th. It took till August 14th before the virus actually caused the blackout. That was when the blackout happened. That was when the virus was at its highest levels. So you have to analyze this. We don't have absolute answers here. But usually the piece of the puzzle which fits best is the actual piece that belongs in that spot of the big picture. So that's August 11, 2003, roughly 2 years after 9/11. Then we have 7/11. So you see the sequence, 9/11, 8/11, 7/11. 7/11 was the bombings which took place in London, the train bombing. So could all just be a coincidence, but it kind of feels like an architectural, somebody is doing some work behind the scenes. Well, you know, we don't know who or what or when, but an open mind is like a parachute. It works a lot better. Okay, so now let's look at current security issues related to these things. What we've got is the People's Liberation Army. People's Liberation Army is, of course, the Chinese army. Each year they hold a hacking contest where people come from all over China, groups, teams, sort of like paint guns, but for hackers. And so they come from all over China, and their job is to hack into Bill Gates' software. So Windows 2003, Windows 2008 servers, Linux servers, whatever the People's Liberation Army asks them to hack into, that's what they hack into. Just turned out that the winning trophy team, 2 weeks after taking the trophy that was handed to them by the People's Liberation Army, they just happened to 2 weeks later hack into the Pentagon and into Homeland Security. So we traced that back and found out it was that same group. Now, if you know anything about the Chinese army, you would know that the generals all read Sun Tzu's book, The Ancient Art of War, or The Art of War. In that, he says you could pay millions of ounces of silver to have a standing army and waste all that money. Or you could just pay hundreds of ounces in silver to have spies infiltrate anyone that you're an enemy of or potentially an enemy of. I'm asking you to think about the cyber landscape as a landscape being infiltrated by spies. When they find the weaknesses, they send them back, and at the right moment, those armies can arise. Will they? Hopefully not. But, if you bring a flashlight when you go camping, you hope you don't need it, but at least you have it. Forewarned is forearmed. So what we do know is we're being investigated by different nationalities, nations. This is a little bit racy, but it's not designed to be racy. It's designed to be honest and truth and heartfelt. So there you have these events taking place. People's Liberation Army, the hacking into the Pentagon, Homeland Security. And what can you as an end user or you as a security expert do? There is a weakness in the architecture of the average router. The average Linksys Netgear D-Link router that supports and secures your personal computers, your network, your small business. In that architecture, that software, is a software program called Universal Plug and Play. If you turn off Universal Plug and Play, which is on by default, you will have just put a deadbolt on the door to your house, which otherwise just has a default key, and the right messages sent to your router will open your router up to the world. So log in there and turn off Universal Plug and Play. Okay, that's what you can personally do. Now, kind of back to the story of the Chinese hackers. What I think is so fascinating about this is the way things kind of come out and end up being. There's a gentleman named Shawn Carpenter. He used to work for a national nuclear missile armament organization. They designed and implemented the nuclear arsenal for America. So Shawn Carpenter worked for this unnamed company. You can dig this up. It's not too hard to find. And he found that there were Chinese hackers hacking into their system, trying to get this military information. As a technical analyst and security expert, he wanted to watch them, and his boss said, cease and desist. We're not paying you to look at that. Just ignore that. Turn a blind eye. Well, he didn't. He stayed up till 2 a.m. I got up at 2 a.m. and stayed up all night tracking these guys and tracked them back to Guangdong, China, where they seem to have 3 routers that they were doing all this work from. So they would go here into Korea and here and here and here and here and here. But if you followed them back, they all went back to the same Chinese hacking team. Well, they fired Shawn for researching this, even though the FBI supported him. And eventually the FBI also got cold feet. You have to wonder who tapped on their shoulder. Or, as a matter of speaking, who tapped on his shoulder? Well, he didn't stop. The FBI stopped. His company fired him. He won a $4 million lawsuit because the judge felt it's not rightful to fire someone for doing their job. And now he works for a company called Tao Security. So look this stuff up, verify it for yourself. You'll see that this is real. We've got some serious stuff to consider. And this is Matt Wyman with North Carolina Personal Computers. Just let us know if we can help you.